Macho Man. Welcome back, Breakfast with Bob from Kona at Huggo's on the Rocks. My name is Bob Babbitt. Brought to you by Master Spas SFuels, right fuel, right time. HOKA, Fly Human Fly, Deboer Wetsuits, Quintana Roo, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation, our next guest, the president of the American Bicycle Group, Mr. Chris Pascarella. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing wonderful, Bob. It's hard not to be doing wonderful with the backdrop that we have here and being here on the island.
Now, this is your first time here?
First time here.
And American Bicycle Group, how many bike brands are underneath that?
Okay, we've got 3 bike brands underneath our umbrella. Quintana Roo, as most folks here on the island know. We also have Lightspeed, which is a titanium bicycle brand, and Obed Bikes, a brand we started about 5 years ago. Mostly gravel and road and some hardtail mountain.
And from being here for the first time, and it's funny because we can talk bikes and talk shoes, but there's just a heart and soul that comes with this event.
Yeah.
And you realize that you're selling more than a bicycle. You're
God.
Yeah, right? You're selling, people have hopes, they have dreams, and it's sort of dependent on your product. That's a lot of pressure.
What an amazing sport. Yes, this is my first time to Kona, and showcased here in this great event. Kind of focuses in on the responsibility and the reality of how large this community is, how deep in history and legacy it is, the great values that it exposes or sends out.
Yep.
But then the responsibility that the leadership of my generation has to make sure that not only do we take what has been given to us, which is this great sport that teaches us a lot of things about life, but to expand that, to broaden it, and to make sure that our children are involved and it's better than ever. Yeah.
And when you get to meet what's great about being here is you get to meet the athletes who love your bikes, right?
Absolutely.
Who come up and
Absolutely.
that reinforcement or reaffirming why you guys do what you do.
Exactly.
That has to be so special.
Oh man, nothing is more fulfilling. I thought it was fulfilling to be back in Tennessee, where we assemble every Quintana Roo bike, and to get orders in. We don't build anything for stock. Everything's personalized to the athlete. So we send out. I know exactly who bought the bike.
Right.
They'll have some sort of customization on, or some crazy color, or something of that nature. And it's really fun to watch that go out, to jump on Instagram, and you'll see somebody, touting New Bike Day or something of that nature, and the amount of joy that brings someone. We do a lot of tours and have people in during Ironman Chattanooga and the 70.3, and so we get to interact with our athletes quite a bit, or I have been able to. But this is on a totally different level, and I'm really appreciative of the ability to be here. As probably I hope everyone knows. If not, I'll tell them now. Quintana Roo is the official bike sponsor or bike
partner?
The partner. I had to get the right name of the 2024 VinFast Ironman World Championships.
Wow, that's new.
So we think that's incredibly new.
Yep.
And something that we're incredibly excited about. My team's incredibly excited about, and it's been great to be here on the ground and to not just be the official bike partner, but to actually espouse those values, and to work with each of our athletes. In fact, I feel like I'm running my mouth a lot, which is typically the case, but we could mix it up a little bit and have some fun here. My completely biased, subjective statement here that Quintana Roo is the premier triathlon bike brand. I'll make that statement.
There you go.
Okay, but I'm going to give evidence for that.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the evidence. The evidence. Number one, this is a global world championship, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So there we go. It's global. We're the official partner. But more than that, I can tell you that my executive team and my employees have been in that Ironman Expo since it opened. Actually, since 2 days before it opened. And we have spoken to we've tried to speak to everyone, but all the athletes coming through, their families, their spouses, their sons and daughters. And we've tried to have conversations with everybody, no matter whether they're going to buy a bike from us or not. Obviously, there's people on lots of other brands as well. But because that's what we value, and that's what we value in our core. And my employees have also been working on every Quintana Roo bike that's racing this Saturday. because that's a free service that we provide
Yep.
for our athletes. But beyond that, and here's why I say we're the premier. We're the premier because I have at least 3 evidential stories that I know of, and I didn't look for these before coming on camera this week, of airplanes losing a bike, airplanes or the flight cracking a frame, and then I think the other one was lost or damaged in some other way. Only one of those was a Quintana Roo bike. So we had 2 athletes come to us in the expo that were on other brands asking us for help. Quintana Roo's core values are about the athlete. Everything we do is athlete first. These are athletes who have sacrificed, worked hard, trained hard. They need a bike to ride on Saturday. We've taken care of all 3 of them.
Wait, you repaired their bikes?
We have either repaired or we have put them on a
Quintana Roo.
And
Pretty sweet.
Because that's what we do. But we wouldn't be able to do that if we weren't present in the expo.
Right.
And that's the point I want to make. Quintana Roo is present. We're here. We're about the athletes. We are triathletes. We understand the amount of work that goes on in the training. So with that evidence, I make the completely biased, I agree, and subjective claim that Quintana Roo is the premier bicycle brand because we're here. So all the billion-dollar brands out there, all the billion-dollar bike brands that might argue with me, and that's okay because, again, I'm completely biased here. I'm the only one in the expo. The Quintana Roo product is the only one in the expo doing the wrenching and doing the work on the ground.
Good for you. That's awesome. Well, and give you a little Quintana Roo history with me.
Great.
When I launched Competitor Magazine in 1987, there was a guy named Dan Emfield who was a writer for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he came up with, at that time, a wetsuit concept. And we ran an ad in the first edition of Competitor Magazine, June of 1987. He sold like 300 wetsuits. And that became sort of the genesis of the Quintana Roo brand, which became a bike brand as well down the line. It's been, you guys have deep roots in the sport.
What a great legacy of our brand. And it's now my job, as I've transitioned into the president of the company, to make sure that we take that legacy, that we tell those stories. It's very important for us to do so. And this time I've spent on the island has really reinforced that. But also to make sure that we take those same stories and that same legacy and we roll that forward. And the best days are ahead of us, not behind us.
I love that. So with triathlon, it's a powerful niche, but a smaller niche. There's obviously a lot more people riding road bikes. How do you balance because there's the different technology with the TT bike and the road bike and figuring out what to focus on?
Well, as we said earlier in the interview, we've got 3 brands under the American Bicycle Group umbrella. So we represent all 3. They're like children. We love each one of them. Obviously, we're on the island, so it's
so you love this one more right now.
I love this one more right now. My children at home, who I hope will be watching this, they'll get the laugh on that because I tell each one of them independently that I love them the most. Perhaps that's not good. I don't know. Send the letters to him. But anyway, so yes, I love Quintana Roo the most right now today.
Yes.
And how do we balance? Well, Quintana Roo is triathlon first.
Yes.
Yes, Quintana Roo has a road offering or a couple of road offerings, but it's triathlon first. We believe that allows us to focus, on what we're doing. And that focus, it's about being present at these triathlons. If we were to be distracted and go down all the other paths, perhaps we wouldn't have that same focus. So again, we are athletes. We are triathletes, and we're just building what we love for fellow triathletes.
I love it. And from here, when this race is over, do you guys spend a ton of time at expos, or what does the year look like for you guys? Yeah,
so we're at quite a few North American expos every year.
Yes.
So I plan the same, if not more, next year. But we are really we've got to push now for global. Not global expansion, that sounds so bad, but for a larger global presence, we'll say it that way. I will say we were working with Challenge last year, and so we are a global partner of Challenge events.
Yes.
And since we inked that deal with them last year. Our fiscal year ended last month, September 30th. So our sales in Europe, I believe it was 4x, so 4 times.
Wow.
In sales, and I see that same type of trend coming throughout the month of October. And then of course we're here at a championship where only a quarter of the folks are domestic United States.
Right.
So this is a great spot for us to get that exposure as well. So yeah, I would say that would be next.
Technology, obviously we're seeing people go so much faster than they've ever gone before,
Yeah.
and a ton of it because it's the longest part of the race is the bike.
Yeah.
How has that changed since you've been at Quintana Roo in terms of the technology?
Oh my gosh! So I'm 16 years in.
Oh my God!
And I will tell you, I'm an accounting nerd at heart. So so I come from the finance side. So I'm organic from the company itself. So I wasn't always on the front side and on the product side. But absolutely, it's been quite an evolution of multiple different models and technologies throughout the years. Right now, we have I've already branded this as the Premier, but we have an unequivocal, unapologetic super bike, the VPRI. Again, biased, we think it's the best bike in the marketplace. And not only is it the best bike in the marketplace, but it fits in our value proposition that we give to our athletes, and that is, you can go on our website, you can pick the frame, you can pick the color of the frame, you can pick the color of the decals or graphics, you can customize the parts and the components to whatever your preference is, within some reason. But I've seen some pretty crazy requests, and we'll build that bike and we'll have it shipped to you in 2 weeks. So that's the value proposition that we build. So there is very rarely are there 2 Quintana Roo bikes that are the same. There is always some nuance or difference because they're all athlete specific. But again, it comes back to those core values of our brand, and that being it's athlete first. So we're not just cookie cutter. We don't just have them put in a box in some other country and shipped to us. No, we're assembling them all in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We employ about 85 people right now, assembling every day. And what a great company and what a great thing to be able to do, and that is bring pleasure and joy to folks, and keep them in this sport of triathlon that again teaches so many lessons in life and so much about perseverance and about our place in the universe. Again, if I can go tangentially on that, I want to tell you the one thing I've been moved by the most here are some of the athletes that I didn't even know were associated with you.
Yeah.
The Challenge Athletes Foundation. I got that right?
Yes,
the CAF.
that's
I knew
up,
it was CAF. So you, we met a couple of nights ago, and I had already met this kid named Ryan. So I'm going to give these guys shout outs. I met this guy named Ryan. He's I don't think he's part of the 1% team, but he's a 1%er. He's got Down syndrome, and his dad's racing for him. They raised a bunch of money, and we befriended him early, and just an amazing kid. And then at that dinner where I first met you a few nights ago, I gone by Francisco, and Francisco is going to be the first person from Mexico to be able to complete a full distance Ironman in a wheelchair.
Yep.
What an amazing person. And then I think you pointed me over to Michael.
I
didn't know Michael. And Michael and I have connected several times over the past couple of days. And I hope we're friends now. But I can't wait to see him again. I can't wait to cheer him on. And the funny thing with Michael is I told him, we were talking about, this will be his first full distance Ironman. I think he's done 5 70.3s. And I told him, just jokingly, that I'm only half the man he is because I've done a couple of 70.3s, but never a full distance. But then I took that away and I thought about it afterwards. And, what I meant as kind of a joke is really, it's more than that. We're not measured by the size of our stature. Here are these guys in this particular case that have limitations or challenges that are far beyond myself and many of the athletes here. But yet they choose to train, they choose to compete, and they choose to tackle this.
Yes, they do. And
it's amazing because, here I am, I'm a 6'2" man. And this gentleman, which I didn't say what Michael is, Michael will be the first male with dwarfism to cross the finish line on a full distance Ironman. And I say that because I have every ounce of belief that he will cross that finish line.
No question about it.
Because we're cheering for him. And so my joke about being only half the man doing a 70.3 is actually really true, and he's not judged by his stature or his size. It's that grit, determination that this sport really teaches all of us.
Yeah, and the deal is when you're 4'7", finding a bike that fits
Exactly.
is really tough. They have tassels on the handlebar, they got blocks on the pedals, and you know, Michael through CAF was able to get a bike that is going to get him hopefully through this race.
I hope so, and I'll say it on camera. The same thing I told you earlier. I don't know what we can do in those cases, but I'm open to the conversation and making sure that, again, we're athlete-centric, and that doesn't matter what kind of athlete that is. Or what challenges they have. If there's something that we can do, then my hope is that we can work through that and work with you. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
Chris, what a treat to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking time.
The treat is all mine, Bob. I spent some time this morning looking at just some of your resume and some of the things that you've I don't want to say done, but some of the things that have been written about you, and I couldn't be more thrilled to sit beside you. So thank you for all you've done for the sport, and thank you for the way that you've been an ambassador.
I love it. Chris Pascarella, President, American Bicycle Group. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob.
Poncho Man, take us out.
I see friends shaking hands saying, how do you do what they're really saying? It's breakfast with Bob.
And Poncho Man.